Good morning. We're live. I have a very special guest today who I'm going to have introduce herself. We're going to talk about being a Black woman in workspaces, and we're going to talk about some healing strategies. We're going to talk about some leaving exit strategies, and we're going to talk about what um, what is the root, like maybe what is the root of the problem? Why are these healing and
Mm.
helping professions so terrible to Black women? Why are these places so hard on the Black women who come in with the heart to serve and to give? Why do we seem to be so um, mistreated is a gentle word, right? Also, I think maybe we'll talk about where you can go, where you can go, how you can develop your exit strategy. If you're at all interested in hearing this conversation, stay till the end. We're going to have a wonderful conversation, a wonderful time today. My name is Stephanie Perry. I am a house sitter, creator of House Sitter School, co-creator of Exodus Summit. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning about moving abroad, taking a career break or sabbatical, or bopping around the world, hit the subscribe button. Welcome. All right, and welcome special guests. Please, friends, welcome Dr. Yanique Redwood. Hi, Yanique.
Hello. So excited to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. So first, where in the world are you? Listen, I didn't know. Okay, listen, tell us, where in the world are you?
Okay. Where in the world? So right now, I'm in Kentucky. So not that exciting.
Okay,
I'm here. I'm here for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, but I'm in Jamaica
Jamaica. You live? How long have you lived in
hmm
Jamaica?
since 2020, since the pandemic.
Ah,
I went there. I thought, because I'm from there. So I
okay.
thought I would go home, ride it out for a couple of months, maybe 3 months, and never left.
From there, meaning were you born in Jamaica?
I was born there,
But you
but
didn't
I
have.
lived in the States, yeah, and went home during the pandemic just to get away from the United States and just never came back.
Okay, there are quite a few women here who are interested in moving to the Caribbean. So but you didn't
Ah,
have residency and stuff. You already have
okay.
access to stay in Jamaica, so you didn't have to file any paperwork.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but let's put a pin in Jamaica.
Okay.
Okay, I'm in Costa
Okay.
Rica. You're in Jamaica. You know we're going to talk about leaving the United States. But first, let's talk
Yes,
about these jobs.
yes.
Let's talk about these jobs, friends. So, tell us what work you did and how
hmm
long you did that work.
Yeah, so I was the president of a foundation, a private foundation. And those are, for folks who don't know, are organizations that give away money to nonprofits. So I was the president and CEO of a foundation that gave away money to nonprofit organizations. And I was in the sector for about 12 years and my last job for about 10 years.
Oh,
And yeah, yeah, for about 10 years.
at the exact 10 years at the same foundation with the same people
Yes.
doing the same work.
Yes.
Okay.
And it wasn't, I would say that it wasn't my foundation in particular that was so destructive. I
Okay.
mean, there were some destructive people that we can talk about, but it's the sector, the whole sector, which is very white woman dominated.
Yes.
So all of my CEO peers were white women, mostly white women.
Okay. All right. So people would assume someone who doesn't have friends who work in this space or doesn't have a history of working in this space would assume that working in a space where your job is to give money to nonprofits
That's right.
to save
That's
the
right.
world would be a
That's
wonderful
right.
and delightful workplace. It would be all rainbows,
Yeah.
butterflies, and happy tears.
hmm
But what
The
is it?
word the word philanthropy, which is the sector,
Mhm.
literally means love of people.
Yeah.
Literally means love of people, and it is the exact opposite. The exact opposite.
So what was it like? What was it like being in the space, being one of the only Black women
hmm
and
hmm
working with white women who are quote unquote do-gooders? What was it?
Yeah. So in 2018, I was at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I was planning to leave the sector. I had been through so much in terms of some of the experiences I talk about in this book. Just wild stuff, like the woman who came into my office. I'm the CEO.
Yeah.
She comes into my office with her cell phone, a picture of her grandbaby on the cell phone. She's a white woman. Her grandbaby is part black,
Uh-huh.
part indigenous, part white.
Okay.
And she turns the phone to me and asks me, "Does my granddaughter look that black to you?" And so it's like, you've come into my office to
Yeah.
ask me if your grandbaby looks that black. What am I supposed to say to that? So it was like those, I try not to say they're little, but it was those kinds of things every day working in the sector with white women that just started to break me down.
Yeah.
And so by 2018, I started that job in 2012. By 2018, I was like at the bottom. And that's when I started to write this book,
Okay.
to
So,
talk about those experiences.
all right. So I didn't do this the usual way. So please introduce yourself and your book to us now. Thank you.
Oh, yes. So I am Yanique Redwood, Dr. Yanique Redwood. I am an author, so that's what I call myself now. I published this book, White Women Cry and Call Me Angry, a Black woman's memoir on racism in philanthropy last year. And let me tell you, I thought, I'm a self published author, so I thought, okay, my 100 closest friends and family members are going to read this book,
Right.
right?
Right.
But it turns out that several thousand people have read this book and it resonates with Black women. And I thought it would, like, I knew that there were some stories in here that Black women would resonate with, but I can't tell you. Like, I still, after a year, am getting inbounds on LinkedIn, on Instagram saying, "I'm reading your book and I'm bawling
Yes.
because these experiences have happened to me. How did you know?
Right.
Have you been in my diary? You know what I mean? Like, have you been reading my journal? These are the exact things that I've experienced. It's been unbelievable. It has opened up a lot of just spaces to be in conversation with Black women. It's been incredible.
So when you wrote the book, you said that you're surprised by the reception. When you wrote the
Yeah,
book,
yeah.
was it just like a healing, cathartic project,
That's a
or
good question. That's a
did you
good
know something
question.
was
Good.
there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I started writing. I started taking classes, yes, partially to get it out.
Mhm.
But there's a quote that's often attributed to Zora Neale Hurston. If you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it.
That's right.
And I knew that I was looking good while doing my work. I was doing good work.
Yeah.
And you know how we do. We dress, we put ourselves together, we play the game. And I didn't want to go out having anyone think
Okay.
that even though I was doing good work,
Uh-huh.
that the experiences that I went through didn't cause me deep hurt
Uh-huh.
and deep pain. And
Okay.
so I was not going to be silent.
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for using your voice. Thank you so much. A lot of Black women would
Hmm.
um, leave, be glad that we left,
Yeah.
and not want to talk about what it was like when you
Hmm.
were at the bottom, because we don't
Hmm.
get a lot of grace when we share our
That's
experiences
right.
normally. And
That's
so a
right.
lot of us don't share what that feels like and what happens. We get,
Yeah.
instead of the grace, we get blame.
That's right.
Instead
That's
of
right.
grace, we get, well, how did you let that happen? And how did you whatever?
That's
Or
right.
we get gaslit into, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Hmm.
Not
That's
really.
right.
That's how jobs are. That's how people are.
That's right.
Gonna be like,
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, I so I was terrified to publish this book. So one of the things you should know about this book is that most of the women who caused the harm, I left the names in the book.
did you?
And I did. And I tried to take them out. I did try to take them out. I took them out. I replaced them with other names. But whenever I read it, and was in the editing process, it didn't feel real or authentic to me. And I was like, if I can't do this in a way that feels authentic to me, that isn't about protecting these white women, then I just may not as well just publish it. And so I tried, and I was terrified to do that. But you know what? It was Black women.
Okay.
When I said, I don't know if I'm going to publish this, it was Black women who said, when is it coming out? Right? If you publish it, we've got your back. Because I was like, who's going to hire me again? That was my biggest fear. Like, who's
Okay.
going to hire me again?
Okay.
And this is our book. These were my friends. These were my close colleagues. This is our book too. So it's not about it's about you, but it's not about you. And so we need you to do this, and we have your back if you do it.
Okay.
And so that was how I was able to like move from complete panic and fear to putting this out into the world, and now creating these communities of Black women who are saying, I've been through that. I see you. I'm able to witness them. We're witnessing each other and healing together. It's been beautiful.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. The
Yeah.
biggest fear is that
Yeah.
something like this is going to cause me irreparable damage and no
Mhm.
good.
Mhm.
We can see we're
Mhm.
good at predicting the bad things that are
Yeah, yeah,
happen, but we're just not good at
yeah.
predicting the good that can come out of
That's right.
something scary and brave. So I'm
That's right.
so glad
That's
that
right.
you got those affirming words from Black women.
Thank you. Yes, yes, yes.
Friends, my voice is gonna, I'm sorry. Listen, my internet, this is my last day in this Airbnb for a while. Listen, it's just, we're gonna deal with it. Okay, I'm sorry about this. For a long time, I
No
had a
worries.
delay. Today, it's the mic. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna do our best. We're gonna do our best. Okay,
Hmm.
all right. Yeah. So when you so you were working in philanthropy, you were giving money to
Hmm.
nonprofits. Were
Hmm.
you, um, but you were surrounded with white women at work. Were you in
Hmm.
community with Black women outside of work?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. But I would say, here's what I would say about that level of community now that I'm on the other side.
Uh-huh.
We would do the happy hours, the like see you at a conference, like we were in community.
Okay.
But now that I'm on the other side of this book, and am hearing from and talking to Black women that I knew who never told me what they were really going through. I remember last year I was at a book talk, and the woman who was interviewing me is somebody that I knew in the sector for years and years and years.
Uh-huh.
And she started telling the story of her own experience with one of the women in the book that I didn't know about. She didn't know about my experience until I wrote the book. And so there is, I think, a need for deeper levels of community, vulnerability with each other, right? So yes, we get together and it's a good time, and we need that, right? Given what we're going through. And where are the spaces where we can get really like vulnerable with each other to talk about how what we're experiencing is hurting at some deeper levels, and
Yes.
maybe tapping into some existing traumas from our childhood that we have not really dealt with yet. And so I would say I was in community, and know now that I needed deeper community
What do you
to
think?
deal with what we're talking about.
What do you think is the barrier to us?
Mm,
Why are our relationships like this? And I don't mean just Black women. I mean people in general,
mhm,
especially
I
in the
think,
United States. Why?
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're on this hamster wheel, right? So I think one of the things we learned during the pandemic, when everything stopped, it's like it gives you a chance to think and to be with others in a way that we just don't get to be because everything is about work, right? So you're working, you're dealing with kids, you're dealing with parents. It's just a constant grind, and we don't have the spaces to be with each other in ways that reveal what we're really going through. And I think that's by design,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like if we can be kept so busy all the time then there is no space to say, wait a second, this isn't a good life. Who said that this was a good life? I'm going to create something different for myself, for my family, and for my communities. And yeah, so we'll talk about the exiting of that, but I think that's what's at the root of it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I feel like when we get community, we realize how much we needed community. I am in a wonderful
Hmm.
space now. I have community. I'm surrounded by community. I'm surrounded by love. I'm able to be vulnerable. I
Hmm.
say my version of soft
Hmm.
life means that I don't have to protect myself and guard myself from any people in my life,
Yep.
right? I have
Hmm.
that now.
Hmm.
And man, can I recognize
Good.
how much I needed it in my
Uh-huh.
30s when I was
Yep.
and I was thinking, right? I,
Yep.
but I didn't realize that that was a solution then. I didn't realize that that could,
Hmm.
how helpful it could have been. We don't know until we
Yep.
get it.
Hmm.
So
That's right.
hopefully somebody hears this now and understands that there is
Hmm.
a solution, and that solution is community,
Hmm.
vulnerability, relationship, real relationship,
Yep.
especially relationship
Yes.
with Black women,
Yes.
who I think are the best
That's
people.
right.
We're not the best people.
That's right. Of course. Yes, absolutely.
I think so. I think so too. So you're in philanthropy. You have a job. You work. You're the president of the foundation, and you write a book called "White Women Cry and Call Me Angry." Did you were you able to
I
go back
did.
to work after that, or what happens after you?
Yes. So I did ultimately leave the sector.
Okay.
So I published the book right after I left the sector.
Okay. Okay.
And I did, so I was worried. I was like, okay, I'll never get another consulting gig again because this was during the pandemic. So I'd already left the country. And I thought, okay, this is it. I don't know how I'm gonna eat. Like it was that big. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna eat, you know? And it was Black women again who got me back to work, right? Reaching out, hey, I've got, 10 hours on this project a month. Are you available? Reaching out on LinkedIn. Oh, I saw a paper that you wrote 10 years ago. It really stuck with me. Would you be interested in this project? So it was Black women over and over again who got me back to work, who
Yes.
invited me to speak,
Yes.
who, yeah, like who really supported me in that transition from full time work to working for myself.
Hmm.
And I think it's largely a couple of things because these stories resonated so much with them. Um, and I'm gonna just say this. It feels kind of funny to say it, but there is a dear colleague who said we can thank ourselves. We can say good things about ourselves. I over the years poured into community, and it poured back.
That's right.
People poured back, you know what I'm saying? And so I did some good things in the world and it came back.
Yeah.
And I can say that. I can say that without feeling too embarrassed to say that.
It's funny that a person who has a PhD, you have a PhD. It's funny that you're like,
Mhm.
I think I can say I've done some good. Hey, girl, please talk your talk, okay?
That's right. That's right. That's
Flex a
right.
little bit. Flex a little, a lot. Flex a lot.
Right.
Humility is not for
Right.
Black women. Humility is
That's
not
right.
for
That's
Black women.
right.
We are
That's right. That's
the
right.
prototype. We are the so we've already agreed that we're the best people, but we're also like the prototype of people. When if you're a believer in the Christian God, okay, what
Mhm.
what
Mhm.
the book says that I read is
Mhm.
man needs a savior, right? The word
Mm.
used for
Mm.
the woman that he made for Adam called Eve, the woman he made called Eve, he called her a savior.
Mm.
We've
Mm.
translated that to
Mm.
helper, or help me. He
Ah,
said, this man
interesting.
needs a savior, and he made a Black woman. Okay, so why
Ah,
humility is not for us?
that's right.
Okay,
That's right. That's
thank you.
right. I'll
Thank you
take
for
that. I
thank you
will
for coming
take
to my
that.
TED Talk. We're
I'll
not we're
take
not
that.
designed to be humble. We are the first. Okay, so
Hmm.
right now, if there's a Black woman who's suffering, struggling, and not in community with Black women, the people who could be a help, a savior to her, who could reach out and give her something, a kind word, a job, right? 10 hours a month.
Hmm.
How does
Hmm.
how does someone in a place where she's feeling isolated, how does she start to form those relationships? Is it like go back and holler at your college friends, or how do you think you start forming those relationships?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're already in them. So I don't think that these are new relationships. I think we are in community, like community with black women wherever we are. So it could be, getting your hair done. It could be workspaces. It could be church spaces. So I think we're already there. I think now it's about how we uh, really connect in more meaningful ways. So, for example, I am celebrating the 1 year anniversary of this book, and I thought, okay, how can I celebrate in a way that feels deeply meaningful? So I could have a big party, like the launch party,
Yeah.
rent some place, get dressed up, go and do the whole like mixer thing. And I was like, when I was younger, what was a space that was like really intimate? And I remember it. It was my 10th grade slumber party. And
Oh,
so this coming weekend, 35 women from Canada, from, the south of the United States, from Chicago, like are coming together for an old-fashioned slumber party.
no.
And yeah, and so that's what I'm talking about. It's like, can we create the spaces that give us a chance to be together in new ways, right? We're going to play jacks. We're going to play Miss Mary Mack. We're going to play Simon Says. We're going to have a circle where we're just going to chat about what life is like. Um, a chance for people to go off in pairs, to talk. So that's what I mean. It's like we're inventive. So, how can we invent those spaces that will give us a chance to be together away from the gaze, away from the white gaze,
Yes.
and what is an acceptable way to be together as grown-ups. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think we can invent those spaces.
I agree. I agree with that. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. That's going to be
Yeah.
so wonderfully healing on top of everything else. When we tap back into those things that resonate, right? Tap back into
Yeah.
those things that we remember from before.
Yeah.
We tap into
Yeah.
a part of ourselves that we've had to wall off.
Yep. Yep.
That's going to be,
Yep. And last night I sent the message out, come in your pajamas, like come right away, right? Because I imagine that it's gonna be a little tough for us to get back to our inner child, our play selves. So
yes.
come in your pajamas, right? Because we only have one night,
Yeah.
one night to drop into our playful selves.
Yeah. And then
Hmm.
that opens up the door for those vulnerable
Yes.
conversations.
Exactly. Exactly.
When we
Exactly.
when we were kids, we would say whatever we felt. And then
Exactly.
learned, oh, we don't say this. We don't tell people that.
Hmm.
This is very,
That's
very
right.
private.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
so wonderful. I'm a little bit jealous, but maybe I'll get, I need to
I
get,
may do another one.
to get on.
So, so Stephanie, I just saw something in the chat. Can I call it out? Because I
Sure.
think it's a really interesting comment. It says when you use real names and you don't get a release, they can sue. Can I just say something really quickly about
Sure.
that?
Sure.
Yeah, so this is, I think, Desiree Hendrix's question. What I did was before the book was published,
Uh-huh.
I I sent the excerpts to each woman that was going to be named in the book.
Oh,
So I reached out to her by email and I said, hey, such and such, I am writing a book called White Women Cry and Call Me Angry. Do you remember this incident? And I explained the incident. I
okay.
write about it in the book and I would like to share it with you. And hopefully we can talk about it. And maybe we can do a podcast or a live
Hmm.
or an interview of some sort to talk about the challenges and possibilities of cross race relationships.
Wow.
How many people do you think took me up on that offer?
Very few. I'm going with less than two.
Listen, listen. So some asked to see it, and I sent it. But then the same behaviors,
Yeah.
right? It was like I was shaken reading those emails. There was no opportunity for cross race. Like, let's deal with this together publicly, right? Let's deal with this together publicly. And then one person took me up on a phone call, a Zoom call. We did that together. But as soon as I got on the call, and I read about this in the epilogue, she said, please record this conversation. So I was like, oh, so this is adversarial. And she had a script. So clearly she had spoken to an attorney. And she just proceeded to like lay into me and said just the most racist stuff. Like,
Oh, no.
I'm really caught off guard by this because I have so many Black women friends who, like you, are steeped in racial justice work. And I was like, wow, this woman really got on the phone and recorded herself saying that she has Black
I
friends.
got black
Like,
friends.
it's like the most the most typical stuff. So anyway, I did reach out to people. I did offer to share excerpts.
Uh-huh.
Some took me up on it, some did not. And I worked with an attorney very closely to write the book in a way that was clear that these were my opinions. She did say that I'm still, they still could sue, but we crafted it in a way that makes it less likely that they would win if they did.
Okay, wonderful. Bravo to you and to your team. Have,
Yes, yes, yes.
have you always,
Black woman.
yeah.
Black woman.
Have you never been afraid of confrontation? Is this not a thing that you feel?
Ah, interesting. I am not afraid of certain types of confrontation, but I was afraid with white women. I was.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was because I was trying to maintain relationships that could potentially support the work I was doing. I was trying to move a racial justice agenda.
yes,
And
yeah,
they were heads of bigger foundations. They had money, they had connections, and I wanted them to move work around racial justice. So I was afraid, tiptoeing, like how do I say this not to offend, you know?
yeah,
Um, so I didn't say many things that I could have said over the years. I stuffed. I
yeah,
stuffed.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say start a YouTube channel. I say all the time, authors settle scores, writers settle scores.
Yeah.
It's part of the work
Mm,
of being a writer,
mm,
settling some scores,
mm,
right? So if you know
interesting.
somebody who likes to write, who is good with words,
Mm,
treat her well.
mm,
She's gonna settle some scores,
mm.
okay? Ask me how I know, right?
Right, 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 right.
All right. So, um, I really appreciate the way that this has come turned into a talk about community, about
Mm,
um,
mm, mm,
vulnerability, about sharing.
mm-hmm,
Because listen,
mm-hmm,
it's really easy to think you're the only person. It's really easy to
mm-hmm,
think I'm the only person going through this terrible experience at work. They're yelling at me in board
mm-hmm.
meetings or whatever, whatever. They never,
Yep,
I go into work and I am the expert in this thing, but you would never
yep,
know it, right? Because they Googled, they Googled,
yep.
they got on WebMD and now they think they're the doctor,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Um,
Mm-hmm,
but it's really easy to think that this is just a me thing, which causes you to
yep.
think it's a you
Exactly.
problem. But then once you share it, you find out, oh, not only
Right.
is it not a me thing, it's not even a black woman problem. This is a white people problem, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
their problem to fix and to
That's right. That's right.
is the problem of is the problem of racism in the workplace? Is it going to be fixed?
Mm,
Is it, if is it going to be fixed by black women, by everybody? By do white
mm,
people need to take this on themselves only?
mm, mm-hmm,
Do we need to get
mm-hmm.
out of the fight? I listen, I have an agenda
Yeah.
on this question. I think that more
Yeah,
I'm out of some stuff. A lot of women in
that's
this
right.
community right now are working in the DEI space or working at right. I think we need to let them fix themselves. But that's my opinion.
You and you and I have the same agenda. We have the same agenda. So I just gave a talk at a conference in where was I? I was in LA. I was
Okay.
in LA, and it was about the forecast for Black women in the sector.
Okay.
And I had two major points. One was some of us need to get out.
Okay.
And, it's like, but who's going to care about our communities? Who's going to do the work on behalf of our communities? Who is? And I get it. I get it. I know that because we're there. I know that because I was where I was, that our communities benefited. So I get it. But some of us do need to get out.
Okay.
My second point was that for those who choose to stay, if you choose to stay because you believe, okay, I have to be there,
Mhm.
then we've got to stay in ways that are much more collective. The quote that I used in that talk was, "United we bargain,
Hmm.
individually we beg." Right? And so, what are the ways in which Black women can build power together to face these systems? Because doing it by yourself inside of an organization, you're the only one or one of two or whatever, is not it's not going to work for us. It's not healthy. And so if you're gonna stay, so my whole thing is get out if you can, like
Okay.
get out. But if you're gonna stay, what is the collective way to stay and push back against these systems? And I actually don't have much to say about what white people need to do. I
Okay.
did that for so many years. I have no comment.
Got
No comment.
it. Noted. Yeah.
It's
I
all about what we need to do.
what we do.
Yeah.
I also, I would love to see this whole platform is about Black women opting out, right? Opting out of the things that don't serve us. I
That's
think
right.
that we could, use some, we could use a good lesson in how to collectively bargain, right? How to
Hmm.
collectively do things. I'm going to talk about something that you may not want to talk about. Okay. I would like to talk
Okay.
for a quick second about the Democratic Party and about also
Okay.
opting out of the two-party system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think that there is more power in us leaving and forming our own than there is
Mm-hmm.
begging the Democratic Party to do what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're nodding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's
I
go.
think I think that we're seeing Kamala Harris put up
Mm-hmm.
in front of us, maybe very similar
Mm-hmm.
to you being the president of your organization, super
Mm-hmm.
deserving.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say put up
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
thrown up there
Yeah.
with no
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
qualifications.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Overly
yeah. Oh
deserving.
yeah.
If a black woman is
Overly
president,
qualified.
she is 40 times more qualified than anybody else.
Exactly. Yes.
I understand.
Absolutely.
But I think what we're seeing is a black woman being put up in position to then be to then be like victimized by the white people,
Mm-hmm.
to be called
Mm-hmm.
this and that, and angry. You know she's gonna be called
Mm-hmm.
angry, and she's
Yep.
gonna be called
That's right.
um, sexually. What is the word? I don't know. Sexually
Mm-hmm.
something. She's gonna
Yep.
be overly sexualized. We already
That's
know.
right.
We already know the blueprint. We already know exactly how this
Mm-hmm.
goes because it's how it went at
That's
Young
right.
Times.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there is an opportunity. The United States two-party system is not the way the world runs. Most people do not have. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's an opportunity for a
Mm-hmm.
breakout, a collective
Mm-hmm.
bargaining,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm.
some
Mm-hmm.
system where we withdraw our support from here,
Mm-hmm.
our support here, and we have more power.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, so I didn't want to interrupt you. You were breaking up a little bit.
I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here's where I am on this. So I'm at the end of writing my second book with my husband. The book is called, oh my goodness, I'm not supposed to say this yet. It's about our exit from the United States. Let's just put it that way. We'll start talking about it in 2 weeks, October 1st.
Okay.
And we say at the end of the book that we joined the call of the 44,000 women the night that
Yeah.
the night after, or the night that she announced that Biden pulled out, and she was, it looked like she was going to be the Democratic nominee.
Yeah.
My husband joined the Black Men for Kamala call right
Uh-huh.
the next night.
Uh-huh.
We donated to the campaign,
Yeah.
and we're gonna vote, and we're
Yeah.
gonna vote for her.
Uh-huh.
Right. So like, I just want to like this is what we're doing because we want to make sure that we join others so that Donald Trump is not the president, the next president of the United States. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what we're doing,
Yes.
and
And
at the very same time, we are clear that Kamala Harris, any black person as the president of the United States, is not going to mean that black people are doing better.
yeah,
That's it's just not going to mean that.
that's right.
And so we started quitting America. We started leaving the United States in 2014 or so. We started to make plans.
Oh.
So who was president? Obama,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And it accelerated,
It's,
accelerated. We didn't think it was going to be anytime soon. We thought it was going to be, closer to retirement.
uh-huh.
Accelerated when Trump became president. We
Yeah.
said, oh my goodness, we need to get out, right? And continued during Biden and will continue if Kamala Harris is president.
Okay.
Because the basic elements of the United States of America, a country that feeds on Black people's pain, is
Yes.
still going to be intact,
Yes.
right? And so that's where I am on this. But I'm still gonna do my civic duty right now, given who we have, and I know what this means for us and for me is that I'm still gonna continue to make my exit.
I love to see someone making a plan, executing a plan, and not letting, I'm gonna say, not falling for the okey doke, right? Not letting,
Uh-huh.
not letting
Yeah.
a little band-aid. So is this not letting a band-aid distract you from your broken leg, right? Or from your heart failure, right? This band-aid is
That's
not
right.
gonna help
That's
if you're
right.
in heart failure. So
That's right.
I love to see it. And so we have quite a few women in this community who, like you, are very excited about a potential Kamala Harris presidency and who also are working on their exit from the United States because the United States is rotten at the root,
That's right.
at the
That's
foundation.
right.
Foundation is rotten.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Friends,
right.
y'all know that Rashida and I are hosting Exodus Summit 2024. This is our fifth annual virtual summit for Black women who want to move abroad. Right on time, October 11th through 14th. ExodusSummit.com is where you get your tickets. We're teaching you how to move abroad and how to speed up your move abroad plan. So, Dr. Yanique, y'all started talking your plan in 2015. You were out by 2020. Do you feel like was it 5 or 6 years because you wanted it to be or because it had to be, right? The exit plan, the exiting, did it take that long
Yeah.
because you just wanted to stick around for something, or was it, you know, we're not ready yet?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't ready. My husband was ready. I was the one who wasn't ready. I was so focused on work. I was like, I have work to do. I have work that I enjoy doing. Like I where am I going to work if I move to Jamaica? It was all that those were the questions, work, work, work. Um and so we were making the plans for later in our lives. So we bought a property in 2016
Oh,
for later in our lives.
okay.
Um,
For like retirement age.
and retirement age, or
Okay.
maybe a little early retirement,
Mhm.
so maybe not 65, but maybe 60,
Okay.
so later. And at the time I was 40, early 40s, so you know um but I hate to say this, but it was the pandemic that gave the final push, because it was July of 2020. Jamaica opened its borders again, And we said, well, let's just get out. It's crazy here. Let's just get out, go there, let's ride this for 3 months, come back. The house is empty. And so let's just go. So me, my husband, my mom. Um, and then I got there the next morning. I remember it. I remember it. I got there the next morning, woke up, and I could hear the birds outside the window. I could hear like the leaves rustling with the wind through it. And I was just like crying. Like, why have I been saying no to this?
Mhm.
Like, I feel like at just one night, I felt like I just could exhale. And, um, and after that, I mean, for me, it was like, okay, this is it. And it has to be sooner. Um, but it was just a few things after a while we kept doing. Like we bought a car after about 9 months because we didn't have one. We were up in the
Yeah,
hills. And then we just kept doing little things. We got 2 dogs. And then it was like, okay, clearly we're not
live here.
leaving. You know what I mean? Like, clearly we're not leaving. And so we ended up leaving our jobs, leaving our full time jobs, and moving to consulting, and making much, much less money, but feeling so much more liberated. And when they were like, it's time to get back to the office, hybrid, we're going back into the office. We were like, no, we can't go back. We can't go back. And
No.
so that is how we ended up staying in 2020, 2021.
That's how you know the liberation took, right? Sometimes some people get in a position that could be freeing, in a position that
Yeah.
could be healing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for them to slip back into the old position, right? Into the old
Mm-hmm.
situation. I think that just means it didn't take, right? You need to try it again longer,
Mm-hmm.
try it again and again and again. Because once you
Yep.
get that real feeling, that real liberation, that real healing,
Yep. Yep.
there's zero interest in involving
Yeah.
yourself back in that old thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie, I mean, can I say, like, one of the things, it's the most simple thing, but one of the things that was deeply healing was being able to walk down into my backyard, go to one of many trees, and pick something to eat.
Yeah.
It was like I can pick something off a tree in my yard and put it in my mouth, right? Not worried about pesticides, not worried about like not worried about going to a store and what am I eating and driving to get there. And like
And what
right
corporation?
there in
Am I
my,
avoiding
yeah,
this
right.
corporation? Is this?
That's right. That's right. So, I mean, we're talking basic stuff. This is not fancy stuff. We're
No.
talking some basic healing, deeply affirming experiences that I was able to get outside of the country that I just couldn't get in the
Yeah.
United States. And it's not like, okay, for example, also the moon. I have this love affair with the moon now.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is a moon in the United States. You can see the moon in the United States,
Yes.
but never had the bandwidth to look up, right? Never had the bandwidth to look up into the sky like I do when I'm in Jamaica. It's just a completely different, liberating way to live. And I can't go back to the US construct of what it means to have a good life. I can't.
That's right. That's amazing. So it's you and your husband and the two dogs?
Yes, and
Okay.
my mom.
And your
And
mom.
my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, and my mom.
Did your mom move with you or was she still in Jamaica?
Yeah, she moved with us.
Oh, that's wonderful. How's that going?
Yeah, it is. Good, good. She just, let me tell you, she spends so much time looking out at that ocean view.
Mm-hmm.
She spends so much time with the fruit from the ground, with the plantains that we grow. Like she is in heaven. It is
That's so,
beautiful.
that's beautiful. Yeah. It's really,
Hmm.
really, really helpful to reclaim, right, or reformulate your idea of what a good life is. We think
Yes. Yes.
now, or we're told, or we're programmed. I think we're programmed to believe a good life is
Yes. Hmm.
mortgage, right? Um,
Yep.
and maybe a membership to some sort of exclusive club, right?
Hmm.
Something, a
Yep.
job that you have to take vacations from, right? A job that is so stressful. You're
Exactly.
like, oh my gosh, I got to get away for a week or two or three, right?
Yep. Yep.
Instead, a
Yep.
good life
Yep.
can be much smaller. No,
Yeah.
is it
It
smaller?
is. Yeah.
Much smaller,
Yeah.
much simpler.
Yeah.
Right? You said
Yep.
that
Yep.
you
Yep.
said making less money, more liberated. I mean, what else?
Oh,
What's
yeah. Yep. 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 Making that life smaller. Yep. And let me just say that it's, so we left. We're outside of the country. We spent most of our time in Jamaica, but we have friends. We have a friend who, upon hearing about us like making our life smaller,
okay?
she did it in New York. She lives in New York, and she says, you know what? I'm gonna leave this expensive townhouse that we're living in, and we're gonna downsize
Yes.
so that I can choose to work when I want to work.
Yes.
And so she got a smaller, less expensive place. So you can make these tiny adjustments
Mhm.
even before you make a move out of the United States. If that's what's on your mind, you can start to practice that now, where you are now. Like, how do I make my life such that work doesn't define my life?
That's right.
And that oftentimes for us means smaller. Make it smaller.
That's right. In 2015, I quit my job. I was a hospital pharmacy technician. Quit my job to
Mm,
travel for 1 year. Traveled around Southeast Asia, a little bit of Europe, Australia. And during those travels, I realized that I had been treating myself like a worker. Work was my top priority. Work dictated all the other parts of my life. Work dictated what family events I went to, what friends and relationships I had, what time I spent with those friends, what hobbies I could or couldn't have. I was living as though I was a worker and not a person. But once I traveled around for a year and was not a worker, I did not work one day, right? I was still there. And I was like, oh, well, I must be not a worker, right?
right, right,
I must be a person. I'm a person.
right.
Work, and then from
That's
then
right.
on, I'm like, work will get a slice, if that, right? But work is not going to be the whole pie. No more.
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
Do you, um, so now you're working as a consultant and working when you feel like,
Hmm.
okay, yeah,
Yes, yes. So I made a commitment to myself, because this is 2024. I made a commitment to myself in March, no, June of 2023, because I started therapy in March of 2023. I stopped working and tried to really dig deep into my relationship to work
okay,
and why I was so committed to work. So I
yeah,
was like, okay, what let me get a hold of this.
yeah,
And so by June, after being in therapy for a few months, made the decision that I would no longer work for others for more than 20 to 25 hours a week.
okay,
So this is for someone who was in jobs where I was working 60, 70 hours a week, waking up at 5 a.m. with my laptop,
right,
going to bed at 11, p.m. Um, I made that commitment to myself, and I've been able to sustain that commitment. Now, the book has opened up all kinds of new possibilities for work. So
yes,
I'm learning to navigate that because, but it feels different because that's my work. Like that's these spaces that I'm being invited to speak. That feels different than working for someone else. And so the 20 hours a week, that's my limit for working for others.
okay,
The work that's mine just feels different.
good,
And
yeah,
I want to do that work. You know what
yes,
I mean?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Work that you choose with people you choose to work with. Rashida Dow, my business,
That's right.
always talks about how she doesn't work with people she doesn't want to work with, right? And how
That's right.
much
That's
of
right.
a change that is from her former life. So when you
Hmm.
choose the work that you do and you choose the people that you work with, what you say yes to, what you say no to, it does have a
Hmm.
different feel to it. Now,
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
is also
Hmm.
possible to be your own toxic boss. So you have to, make sure,
That's right.
right? Make sure that you're not working yourself to an
That's
early
right.
grave.
That's
But,
right.
but
That's
it
right.
feels very different. So you said that you
Hmm.
were in therapy and you were thinking, asking yourself, why was I so committed to work? What answers,
Hmm.
what answer can you share with us that what was the answer? Why? Why
Uh,
are we so committed to work?
yeah. Yeah. So interesting. So I learned from that experience that a particular beating that I got when I was about 12, and I wrote about it in my diary. It was one line, and I found my diary after all these years, this little thing from when I was a kid, and I wrote, "My dad lost his job on Friday and beat me very hard on Monday." That was it. And I had internalized all these years that when there is no money, I'm not safe. And so I was like, I'm going to work because I got to keep myself safe. And that is how I had been living my entire life, right? Focused on work, focused on achievement, always being the A student, always being the scholarship recipient, right? Like I've been doing that since I was about 12 years old. And when I realized that in my therapy work, I was like,
Wow.
right, like wow, and started to like create new habits for myself that didn't center work. And I did that while not working. And that was hard. That was
Yeah.
hard. It was hard because I was actually talking to my therapist yesterday. I said, "Do you remember when I said to you, can I just work if I could just get like 10 hours a week consulting gig while we're doing this, then it will make it feel better." And she was like, if you can just hold off, if you can afford it, try to do this work while not working
Good.
to feel what it is that comes up for you when you are not working. It was everything. It was everything,
Yeah.
and has led to a complete transformation in terms of how I view work.
Yes. Yeah. The because the because you really had that feeling, that belief, right? Because you really believed if there's no work, I'm not safe. You're going to be
Yep,
resistant to no work. Sometimes
that's right.
we think that we should automatically be able to slip into no work mode, especially women in this space. We talk about not working a lot. We
Hmm.
talk about sabbaticals a lot. And so women think, oh, I want to
Hmm.
take a sabbatical. I'm excited for it. It's going to be so easy for me not to work. And then they get on
Nope,
sabbatical and they're taking this job and they're doing this work and they're building this
that's
business,
right.
right? Because
That's right.
it,
That's right.
it takes a whole lot. It's hard. There's a lot of resistance to it. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. When I was CEO of the foundation, I was having a really hard time with the white women and all that, and I was in a my performance review,
Mhm.
and just like I just need a couple. I said to the board, I need a couple of weeks around Christmas. Can I just get a couple of extra weeks off?
Uh-huh.
And it was a black woman on the board who said, "Why do you need to come back a couple weeks after Christmas? Just take the whole month of January off." And I was like, "What?" I was just like disoriented. She said, "Where do you want to go? What do you want to do for yourself? We've got you. We'll pay for it." And do you know, I almost said no to that thing. It was my husband who, it was my husband who just tried to get me to see that this was a good thing
Yeah.
because it was going to be 7 weeks off.
Mhm. Oh,
And I couldn't imagine. I was like, that's for white women. Black women, no, no, no. We work. We work. This is no, this is not for us. And it was my husband who convinced me that this was a good thing. So I hear you. Like I believe you that you can be even given the gift of 7 weeks off, paid. We'll send you where you want to go. What do you want to do? We'll pay for that. And still, I was like, no, that's not for me.
I'm so glad you have this wonderful team around you. Do you know that? I hope you
Yeah,
recognize that.
thank
I
you.
hope you
I do. I
Team Unique.
do. I
Team
do.
Unique sounds pretty
I
awesome.
do. Yeah, I do. I do. I
Right?
do.
The husband and the therapist, even that called that the woman, the black woman at work who was like,
The black woman.
you, I'm going to take a couple weeks. Let's take 7 weeks, right? That's a
Right.
beautiful
Yes,
team to have
yes,
around you to have assembled.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So Jamaica, I want to talk a little bit more about Jamaica and life
Mm,
and what things look like
hmm.
on the other side. When once you choose
Yeah.
to opt out of some stuff and what, okay, first one quick sidebar, friends. So I know, listen, I know I scare people when I say we're going, let's talk about another party. I don't mean in this election. Okay, I'm not talking
Mm,
about voting third
mm,
party in this election. I'm talking about this needs to be either we need to just opt out completely, leave the country. That's what I'm doing. Okay, or there needs to be a collective bargaining. If you can understand why collective bargaining works, if you can understand why unions work, you can understand how we can have a multi-party system like other countries. I think the whole overhaul the whole
mhm.
system. Okay, we went to Katrina and I were in Curacao. Katrina will talk to a stranger in a minute. She said she's an introvert. And we talked to this man. He's from the Netherlands. He said they have 22 political parties, right? The Netherlands
What?
is
Wow.
also a wonderful place to raise a family, always very high up on the list. High satisfaction rate, high health rate, right? 22 political parties. I'm not saying this month vote for whoever, Jill Stein. Okay. I'm saying we need to overhaul the whole system. Until that happens, I'll be in Costa Rica. Thank you. Okay, so but I, so Jamaica. Can you tell us what is so besides the fresh fruit, or maybe including the fresh fruit?
Hmm.
What is so
Yeah.
life was so different for you in the U.S. Well, do I know what
Hmm.
city you lived in? What city did you live in
I
the
lived in
U.S.?
Washington, D.C.
I do know that. I knew that. Okay,
Hmm.
very different from Jamaica,
Hmm.
from any city, from any place.
Very.
So,
Yeah. Very.
what? How does your life? How else does your life look different? And
Yeah.
did you know? Do like did you have to? So that's a big shift, right? From Washington D.C.
Hmm.
to a little island in the Caribbean.
Hmm.
Did you
That's right.
have to like mourn or grieve some parts of your own
Hmm.
life to take on this new rhythm? I think that's did you have to grieve some old stuff to be able to embrace the new stuff? Or was it like a quick automatic, oh, this is how we do it now?
Mm. Very interesting. The only thing I grieved was the work identity, and that was between March of last year and June, right when I was doing that deep work with my therapist.
Okay.
Because in Jamaica, um, it culturally, I mean, people do work very hard, and work and money aren't the center of things. So even just the way you do business, hey, can you come and take a look at my toilet? It's
Mhm.
not working.
Uh-huh.
And the the plumber might say, "Okay, I'll come today," but it may be tomorrow. It may be the next day. You know what I mean? Like and so you're walking. You're like upset. You're like, man, doesn't he want to get paid? So everything is like, doesn't he want to make money? And it's just not that way. So you have to really adjust to a new rhythm where work and money aren't the center of your life, right?
Yeah.
It's not. And so my work identity was the thing that I grieved the most, but and also that I am not in physical proximity to the people I love as much anymore, right? So I miss things. I miss birthday parties. I miss uh, movie screenings. A friend of mine just produced a film. I wasn't able to make it to the screening. So it's things like that. But it's a very short list of things I miss.
Okay.
Very short.
Good, good. That
Yeah.
sense, that
Yeah.
sense of urgency that we have in the U.S., nobody else has it. I don't care. I don't
That's
care
right.
where else you go.
That's right.
They're not,
Hmm.
they don't care about how urgent you think this situation is. They know it's not
That's
life
right.
and death, and they're going to treat it like it's not life and death.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
It's
Yeah.
also super
Yeah.
healing to not live with that sense of urgency. We live in fight or
That's
flight
right.
mode, and we're not supposed to live
That's
in fight
right.
or flight mode. We're supposed to go
That's
into
right.
it and get out of it. But
That's right.
we
That's
live in a
right.
stressful state all the time, and so it's real nice
All
to
the
go
time.
get a little island time,
Yeah.
little island living.
Yep. Yep. That's right. Um, I would say the other thing, because I just saw someone in the chat talking about depression in expats. We're in a neighborhood with no other expats. I mean, it's a very local Jamaican neighborhood,
Uh-huh.
and we are very conscious of building with local folks.
Yes.
So that during the hurricane, the recent hurricane, Hurricane Beryl, we weren't there. My mom was there alone. We were trying to get her out. She didn't want to leave, and she stayed. But the community rallied. Right, they came. They put the shutters up. After the hurricane, she had some. She had. We have a solar powered system, and so people came to our house to charge their phones, to put the meat in the fridge and the freezer. Like there was this exchange. People bring food all the time. Hey, I picked this breadfruit, or hey, I have these extra plantains, and oh, and our property grows a lot of okra. So we're like, oh my God, we have too much okra. Can you please take this okra? It's like this like reciprocity and exchange that is just beautiful that I wasn't experiencing in the United States. So that is a real part of the way we live. And I think that the school, there's a little school in the neighborhood. My mom does all these little fundraisers for the school to buy desks or remodel the playground. My husband is working on a community center. They had a ping pong table that wasn't good anymore. So just like this mutual exchange that just is just so meaningful. And I just wasn't a part, or just didn't have the opportunity to really do that in the United States, because why?
That's right.
It was all work. It was all work and computers, right? So just finding those kinds of ways to live that are just radically different
Yes.
than how I was living before. I wake up without the alarm for sure now. Um, I move slowly into the mornings. Uh, drink my water, do my stretching, do my workout, walk the dogs, get something to eat that's nutritious. That wasn't a part of the equation before. It was like, get right to work.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll eat later.
Right.
Basic stuff. I get to use the bathroom more. Like just real basic stuff. Because you're in these jobs and you're all day meetings, and you don't even get sometimes to go to the bathroom. We're talking basic stuff that is now a part of my life that wasn't a part of my life before.
Yes. That's beautiful. That's healing. I'm so glad that you have that. I'll be hollering at you for y'all's
Thank you.
address in a little
Yeah.
bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. Come through.
Thank you.
Come
Thank you.
through.
I will invite myself. Thank you. Yeah.
Come through.
Yeah, that the care. So this is good. Dark Skin Tarot says it's care. That's right. There, we're back to talking about community, right? We started here. We're back here. We're back to talking about the importance of community. This doing things on your own and this isolation is not normal. It's not healthy. It's not natural. It's not the way humans are supposed to live. And
Hmm.
so being able to be in a place where community is the way is really Dr. Tama calls it homecoming. It really brings you home to
Hmm.
yourself. It really shows you
Hmm.
who you really are in here,
Yep.
not
Yep.
out
Yep.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
community centered living. That's the way that I
Hmm.
want to move, right? The way I want to keep
Hmm.
or start moving.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that Jamaica is a forever home for you now? Are you not thinking and
Good.
you're not even considering the future?
You've
And not
got some
everyone,
good
not everyone,
questions.
it's
You've
okay to
got
live
some
in the
good
present.
questions.
It's okay to live in the present. It's okay to live in the present. I just,
No, no, it's a really good question. We were just in South Africa earlier this year. We spent a month there, and it was the first time I said, I wonder if Jamaica was the easiest stop
Okay.
The next major stop on our way to the continent. I wondered it out loud.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen, but I did wonder it. We visited Ghana. We did look at Ghana as a place to live. Um, but it's just there as a question.
Okay.
Was Jamaica a first stop on our way to somewhere else, and that somewhere else is the continent? So it's a question that's alive for us.
Okay, that's a great question. I always say Johannesburg is alive. That's how I describe
Mm,
Johannesburg anyway. Was Johannesburg the
hmm.
city that you enjoyed so much?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We did Johannesburg, then we went to Durban, and then to Cape Town. Yeah, it was just, and then we had been there before, um, uh, but not in that way. We only was there. We were there for like a week, but this time we spent a whole month and just was able to like really sink in.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Michelle Wedderburn has a home in Mexico, in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, and she calls it a soft landing for Black women and families who want to move to Mexico.
Mm,
And so that's it. There is such a thing as going to a place where things are going to be a little easier. In Jamaica, you didn't have to deal with residency
hmm
visas and
hmm
stuff, right?
hmm
So it makes sense to transition
right.
to a place that gives you a softer landing. And then maybe there is another place for you. Maybe not. Maybe it's Jamaica forever,
hmm
but maybe there is another place. It's nice
Right, right.
to start in a place though where you're going to have a little more ease, right?
hmm
Start in a place where things are going to fall into place for you. There may be for
hmm
a lot of people here have Caribbean roots. There may be a place where things
hmm
fall a little more into place, where you'll have some community when you land. Somebody's going to
Right.
know your name or
hmm
your family name when you get there.
Yep.
A little
hmm
easier transition for you.
hmm
I wanted
hmm
to link y'all to a quiz. Exodus Summit has created a quiz. Which country should I move to? Okay. Now, understand from the title, we're not telling you take the quiz, get the result, move to that country. But we're telling you that's a good starting point to start researching some things. ExodusSummit.com/quiz is the which country should I move to quiz. And the link is, of course, in the description of this video, along with the link to Yanique's website, whitewomencry.com, along with the link to Yanique's book, which is also at whitewomencry.com. All of the links are in the description. If you're watching the replay, hello, friends from the future. I'm glad you stuck it out, even with the my messed up audio. Thank you for being here. I hope the future is amazing. All the links that you need are in the description of this video. Okay, okay. Okay, wonderful. I'm so glad to hear about. Listen, I feel like I know you, so okay. So, friend, I'm so glad that now I do. I feel like because I watched you on the YouTube. You know, I watched enough videos. I felt like I know you,
Uh-huh.
but I'm so glad to hear
Uh-huh.
about this new life. You could have decided that I'm going to be the white woman cry and call me angry person, and I'm going to take this campaign around the world, but I'm not going to work on my own peace. I'm going to martyr myself for this cause for Black women in the workplace, but I'm not going to focus on how to get my own peace. But girl, you look like peace. Okay.
Oh,
Now your voice, you sound
listen,
like peace. I'm so glad that you have
listen.
compartmentalized that work. Thank you.
Yes, listen. Let me tell you, I think the biggest lesson of all of this is that I had been working for Black people's health because I'm public health trained. That's what my doctorate is in. And when I, learned about how we are dying, our bodies are weathering because of racism related stress, I was like, I got to do something about this. I got to do something about this. And so I spent my whole career trying to do something to make Black people's lives better,
Right?
healthier. But I forgot in that process that I am one of those Black people who also needs to be well, who also needs to have a good life, to live long. And so one of the biggest lessons is that I too need this healing, right? And it was that lesson that allowed me to begin to see myself and to think about myself and what I also needed. And that doesn't mean that just because I'm taking care of myself, I can't also be in service to my community. A matter of fact, it's when I take care of myself that I can be in service to my community. And so instead of the complete self sacrifice, because I was like,
Yeah.
I've got some privilege, I want to use it up. I want to give it all away. That Christian, if to whom much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
I was sold on that thing, and now I know that I deserve it too. I need it too. Um, and when I'm well, my community is also well.
Hmm.
And so it's been the biggest lesson of
That's
this period of my life.
that's wonderful. I say,
Yeah.
if Black Lives Matter, your life matters.
That's
Right?
right.
You
That's
cannot. Don't
right.
martyr yourself. Don't sacrifice your life. Your life matters.
That's right.
That's wonderful. It's
Yes,
we
that's right.
we
That's
see
right.
many. We have too many examples of people who have martyred, sacrificed, given their lives. It would be so nice to see those people get to be old people, right? It would be so nice to
Right.
see some of these women who have worked so hard. It'd be so nice to see them as old ladies
That's right.
rocking on a porch, right?
That's right.
Eating watermelon
That's right.
cantaloupe
Right.
and
That's
laughing
right.
with their sisters and their nieces and their grandchildren and that, right?
That's right.
Don't let
Yeah.
don't let
Yeah.
the heart attack
Yeah.
take you out. Don't let that high blood pressure
That's right.
rob you. Don't let that job rob you of
Hmm.
your old age, of that
Hmm.
that you can
Yes.
then and now. And
Yes.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So, friends, I would like to take a quick second and talk to you about Exodus Summit. Yanique, I'd like to talk to some people about Exodus Summit. Yes,
Yes.
because girl, you
Yes. Yes. Yes.
except that maybe you do. Maybe. Okay. So, Exodus Summit, our conference for Black women who want to move abroad, is happening October 11th through 14th, and it's all online. If you're a Black woman, whether you're a solo Black woman with a family, a Black woman with children, pets, parents, right? You are invited to Exodus Summit 2024. We're bringing in speakers to help you plan your move abroad, even if you don't think it's possible yet. Okay, every year, this is our fifth year for Exodus Summit, and every year some women come who already have some idea of a plan. But most women come who just have a dream and don't know how it's going to be feasible, don't know how it's going to be realistic, and how am I going to make money? How am I going to eat? Right? And our speakers in the summit give them the starting points of a plan so that you can work out your own strategy, your own uh, pathway. Exodus Summit is committing to help you speed up that plan. So please come to Exodus Summit 2024. I'm asking you kindly, okay? The link is exodussummit.com and the link is in the description of this video. If you're watching it now because you're on Notification Gang, hello, Notification Gang, good timing. If you're watching this in the future and October 14th is already passed, still go to exodussummit.com, get the replays and watch the replays. Every year, we have women who leave Exodus Summit and leave the country, leave Exodus Summit, get their plan together, and make their exits, their exodus. They're not any more deserving than you are of that peace, of that freedom, of that experience, of that adventure, of that fun, of that rest. They're no more deserving than you are. They're just women who trusted us, the founders of Exodus Summit, and the speakers to help guide them, and who got in community. We've talked about community a lot today. Who got in community with the women of Exodus Summit to help be accountability partners and research buddies and friends and meetup friends so that they could get their plan in action. We talked already, Yanique, about how your community, your friends, your sisters encouraged you with your book, and how things might look different if they hadn't been your like accountability partners, if they hadn't been your
Yeah.
friends, your book
That's
would
right.
look very different. Maybe your book wouldn't be out in the world at all,
Be in the world.
right?
That's right. That's right.
Accountability partners, friends, community, we've talked about it a lot today. It really is a life changer. It is a game changer. I think a lot of the times when you look at someone who's drowning, who's sinking, who's going under, she's just not in community. There may be people there, but she's probably the group leader.
People are right.
She's probably the group leader. You're the group leader. You need to be in
Hmm.
community. There needs
Hmm.
to be some vulnerability, some sharing. Do you have a, I want to ask you a couple of different questions. So the people that you invited to the slumber party, listen, I'm angling for the next one. The people you invited for the slumber party, were these people you already knew, or were these, how did people get an invite?
Yeah. So I have a newsletter, a monthly newsletter, and so a couple thousand subscribers. And I sent them the message out, hey, I want to celebrate the 1 year anniversary of White Women Cry, and I want to have a slumber party. Is anybody down? And people responded that way. I would say I know personally about maybe a third of the women who are coming, and the others are women who've just been following, who've been reading, who've been attending events all over the country. Um, I am blown away that someone is coming to my slumber party from Toronto. I
Oh,
really am.
yeah.
Um, and and so and we've had some planning calls to plan the games, to plan the movies, to plan the food, so we're getting to know each other even before the slumber party. And then on Thursday night, it's like a pre-slumber party call, and then on Saturday, we will be together. So I knew about a third of the folks.
That's wonderful. It's really amazing to have created a community, a space, for you to have created this space for people to feel welcome, even though they're quite technically strangers, right? Even though they're technically people
Yep.
that sometimes we want to wall things off and we want to gatekeep. But
Yep.
opening up, I found personally, opening up is really, really worth it. So that's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
Dr.
right.
Yanique Redwood's newsletter is at, you can sign up for her newsletter on her site, which is whitewomencry.com. I've linked to that, of course, here. So go ahead and get on the newsletter so that you listen.
Thank you.
Don't be surprised if I spill
So
the
you can
next
get
one,
the
okay?
invitation.
Okay. I like stuff like that. I was a Uno.
Yeah.
I could play Uno. So some women were listing some games out in the thing. I can play. Let me give you my pitch. Okay, so I'm good at Uno and spades. I don't know if we're going to do spades. I am not. I don't know how to double dutch. So if there was a double dutch lesson, I would need a lesson. But I know some of the. I remember some games from childhood. So I'm going to get on. Make sure I'm on that newsletter so I don't miss it next time.
Oh, listen, it was. Listen, when the on the slumber party planning call, when that woman came on the call, I don't know her. She said, "I have some jacks." I was like, I haven't heard the word Jax in so long. I went and bought some for the party. Just yeah, those are memories that are just, you know, and hopscotch. I mean, just yeah. So and these are from women I don't know, but we have a connection already,
That's right.
right? As Black women who have been through some stuff, and so yeah, I am so looking forward to Saturday.
Yes, that's going to be so much fun. That's such a good
Thank you.
idea. That's such a great idea. Y'all see me hosting slumber parties. You know where I got the idea from. That's such a great idea. Yeah. So I was a kid who grew up in, so I'm
Yeah.
from Delaware. I'm from a black place, but we moved to Ohio when I was in elementary school. So I lived in Ohio and I went to a very white school. But we also went to a black church. So slumber parties with my girlfriends are some of the best memories I have. Um, yeah, it's and even yeah,
Yep. Yep.
in Delaware and Ohio, slumber parties are some of the best memories that I have. So I can imagine how um, more than fun, like it's fun, yes, but also like being able to help us get back in touch
Yeah.
with that inner child. It's going to be so awesome, so awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're,
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. All right. So, any plans for a YouTube channel of your own? Not to put more work on you, but any plans for a YouTube channel?
I don't think so, but never say never. I'm such an introvert. And so having to be in that kind of, I don't know how you do it, like to be in conversation and, talking. I don't see myself doing that. I'm much more bookish. I'm much more like really like tiny spaces.
Uh-huh.
But never say never because
Okay.
I'm inspired by this conversation. I really am by you and what you're building.
I think it's been fantastic. Yeah, I think listen, some people are made for you're a writer, but you're also made to talk. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm not the boss of you. But if you do start a YouTube channel, let us know. We'll go over there and subscribe to it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Do you
Okay.
think is there anything that you would like to talk about that you think we didn't cover today?
Hmm.
Oh, and
Um,
let me look for
is
some.
it possible for me to just read a little snippet from the book?
Please. Yes, please. I'll link while you're doing that.
Uh-oh. Yeah? Okay.
Please.
All right. So I'm going to read just the beginning of an essay called A Pleasure Virgin Discovers the Antidote to Whiteness. A pleasure virgin discovers the antidote to whiteness. After almost 6 years in the philanthropic sector, I clawed my way out of a debilitating funk and found my therapist's couch again. I had tried on my own to deal with white women's microaggressions and backlash. I really had. Taking time off from work during a period of whiteness induced fatigue, studying with enthusiasm a convincing text on how to talk to white people about race. The book encourages the reader of color to be curious about. I could hear myself asking white people, can you say more about that? But I just didn't. I sat on Dr. Brown's couch with my notebook and pen because I'm that girl, prepared to challenge my automatic thoughts born from old recurring schemas. This bread and butter of cognitive behavioral therapy had saved me in the past. Instead, she queried me about my pleasure routine. Caught off guard by the question, I responded with a series of conflicting facial expressions: a blank stare, followed by a quizzical brow, and then a slightly gaping mouth, poised to reply. But I did not have a good answer, nor did I understand why, in the face of my dilemma with white women, this Black woman was asking me about pleasure. Almost done. I finally offered my love of travel. I do so with Ronnie a couple of times every year, the Caribbean mostly, but recently Paris and northern Spain. Unimpressed, she dug further for everyday pleasure, but I had nothing for her. I was not in a committed relationship with pleasure. Instead, I had been in a twisted menage a trois of sorts with pain and suffering, and they were adamant about one thing: if it doesn't hurt, it's not worth doing. And
Mm,
so this was just a moment and sitting in front of my therapist, a Black woman, and she's like, what do you do for pleasure?
mhm.
And I don't mean going on vacation, I mean daily pleasure. And that really began my search for pleasure, my search for rest, my search for play, and ultimately to where I am today.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what did you add in? Is there a pleasure that you want to share with us that you added into your life and a
Oh, yeah.
I'm here.
You were breaking up. I think you're
I
asking about
Yeah.
pleasures.
Is there one
I've
that
already talked about some of them.
yeah. The fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eating fruit from the tree, I mentioned. Yep. Gazing, spending lots of time with the moon.
Yes. Yes. Thank you kindly.
Yeah. So basic pleasures.
Okay. I think the sound has gotten worse, but we're gonna I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
wrap it up. Sandra is from Lack to Legacy, and she says, Dr. Redwood, you could read the alphabet and I would be riveted. Okay, so where is so let one more thing, one more assignment that I'm now I'm not the boss of you, but one more request, an audiobook, please. Okay.
Oh, I just recorded my audiobook.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you kindly
So
for
it's coming soon.
thank you kindly. April Wiggins was the first person who said, okay, but what about the audio? Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Nick, thank you so much for being here, for sharing with us. Thank you for having this conversation with us. Thank you for putting up with my tech struggles. But
No
most
problem.
importantly, seriously, most importantly, thank you so much for prioritizing your own peace. Thank you for living out the work that you do, right? Not just sacrificing for
Thank
others,
you.
but making sure that you live well also. You look like you are, and you sound like you are. So I believe
Thank
you
you.
are.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
to see you, a Black woman. I'm so glad to see you living that out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're
It's
welcome.
so great to be here and to see the chat. What a beautiful community that you have created. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you again. We'll talk again. Okay. Hang on for just a second. Thank you so much, friends.
Okay. All right.
Have a wonderful
Okay.
weekend. I'll see you guys again very soon. Thank you for being here and for being, like Yanique just said, for
Thank
being
you.
such an awesome community and an awesome space. See you guys again very soon. Bye.